Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. This lesson is about the rules of Noon Sakin and Tanween. So there are basically four rules of Noon Sakin and Tanween. Well, the rules are same for Noon Sakin and Tanween because it's all about the sound, the last sound. Like when you pronounce a Noon Sakin and when you pronounce Tanween, they both sound exactly the same. Like, for example, a Noon Sakin. Okay, let me first make one thing clear. Like, what is Noon Sakin? So, Noon Sakin is this. Like, a Sakin letter is the one that has Sukun on it. So, this sign, we call it a Sukun or a Jism. So, Sukun, remember, is this sign, and the letter which has this sign on it is called a Sakin letter. Now, since this one is Noon with a Sukun on top, so this is Noon Sakin. That's the definition of Noon Sakin. The other thing is Tanween. Tanween is this. Not only this, but all the three double signs are called Tanween. Kasratain, Fathatain, Dhammatain. So double kasra, double dhamma, double fatha, all three of them are called tanween. So now let's first read a Noon Sakin. So now this Noon Sakin, well, the whole thing together, the word sounds men. So the last sound is the Noon sound, men. Now let's read this letter, the last letter with tanween, and this one, it sounds len. Like lam with kasratain sounds len. So this one was men, and with Noon Sakin, and with Tanween, it's len. So men, len, the last sound is the same. Well, this would be the perfect example, I think. Okay, now this one and this one. Okay, now the first one, this one, the one with this with Noon Sakin, is men. It's mim noon kasra men. And the other is mim dhammatain men. So they both sound exactly the same. Men, men. So the point is that they both sound exactly the same, and this is the reason why there are same rules for both Noon Sakin and Tanween. And these rules are basically four different ways to pronounce a Noon sound. So the thing is that you don't always pronounce Noon with a normal Noon sound, with a clear Noon sound. In fact, most of the times you don't pronounce it clearly. Like, how do we pronounce it with a clear sound? It's this one, men. Now, this is a normal, a clear Noon sound, men. So sometimes we pronounce it this way, but not always. Like the same word here. Now, this one is not men anymore. Like when you see the whole thing together, it sounds mel thamaratin. So now it's not men anymore, it's mel, like you pronounce it with a hidden sound. So most of the times you either pronounce it with a hidden sound, like this one is mel, or there are two more ways to pronounce a Noon sound. So we talked about the first two, the two ways to pronounce a Noon sound. One is the normal one, like this one, men hakimin. So this one is a normal Noon sound, but sometimes we pronounce it this way, mel thamaratin. So men and mel. So the first case of Noon Sakin and Tanween, the first way when we pronounce it clearly, that is called Izhar of Noon Sakin. Let's just read this. So there are four cases of Noon Sakin and Tanween, and I just told you the reason why there are same rules for Noon Sakin and Tanween. So the four cases are, the first is Izhar. The first one is called Izhar. The other is called Ikhfa. The second one is called Ikhfa. The third is called Idgham. And the fourth one is called Iqlab. So these are the four cases of Nun, Sakin, and Tanween. And as I said, in other words, you can say that these are the four different ways to pronounce a Nun sound. So in this particular lesson, will talk about just the first two cases of Nun, Sakin, and Tanween, Izhar and Ikhfa. So what's the definition of Izhar? Well, Izhar, as I said, is when you pronounce it clearly, and not just Nun, like it is the definition for every letter. Like when you pronounce a letter with its normal clear sound, that is called Izhar of that letter. Like for example, Jim, when you pronounce it clearly, that will be called Izhar of Jim. And if you pronounce Seen clearly, that would be called Izhar of Seen. So Izhar of Noon is when you pronounce it clearly with a normal Noon sound. And Izhar is done, remember that it's all about the letter, the following letter, the letter you see after the Nun, Sakin, and Tanween, that letter is what matters most. Like here you can see both the Nun, Sakin, they both look exactly the same. It's exactly the same letter with exactly the same sign on it, but one sounds men, the other sounds ma. The top one sounds men, the bottom one sounds ma. And why is that? Well, it is because of this letter, the one next to Nun Sakin. So there are certain letters that are called Izhar letters. Izhar letters are basically throat letters, the letters pronounced from the throat, halaqiya letters. So there are 6 of them. So remember, there are 6 Izhar letters, and those are, let me show you here. Hamza, Ha, Ain, Ha, Ghain, Kha. These are the 6 Izhar letters. So when one of these 6 letters comes after Nun, Sakin, and Tanween, that's when you do Izhar, you read Nun normally. So in this word, Min Hakimin, the following letter, the letter next to Nun Sakin is Ha. And Ha is one of the 6 Izhar letters. So that is the reason why we read Nun normally here. In all these words with the green letters, the green Nun, all these are the examples of Izhar. Like in this one, Min Ajalin, this one is also Izhar. And how do we know that it's Izhar? Well, it is because the following letter, the letter after Nun Sakin is Hamza, and Hamza is one of the Izhar letters. The next is Minha, then again Izhar, and it's because Nun Sakin followed by a Ha, another Izhar letter. This one, Min Alaqin, again Izhar, because the letter after Nun Sakin is Ain, and Ain is an Izhar letter. Min Hakimin, well, we've already read this letter, this word, sorry. Okay, and this one, Min Ghafurin, again, it's Izhar, and it is because Nun Sakin followed by Ghain and Izhar letter. Min Khawfin, the last example of Izhar on this page, Nun Sakin, and the letter after Nun Sakin is Kha, and Kha is an Izhar letter, so we'll pronounce it normally, Min Khawfin. And now, these two are the examples of Ikhfa. The word is Faman Tabia. This is how you pronounce it. Like you hide the Nun sound, you take sound in nose for a second or so, like Faman, and also you stretch a sound a little bit, and that is called Ghunna, like Faman Tabia. While doing Izhar, you don't stretch that sound. Like you just say it simply Min Khawfin, as simple as you can. Min Khawfin, Min Hadat. But Faman Tabia, here the sound is stretched a little bit. Most importantly, the sound is not clear, like not Faman, that's Faman Tabia. So this is called Ikhfa. Ikhfa means to hide the sound, to hide something. So since the sound is hidden, it's not clear. So that is the reason why it is called Ikhfa. And the other is min thamaratin. And again, the sound is not clear because it's Ikhfa. And now the question is that how do we know that both these are the examples of Ikhfa? How do we know that the sound of Noon Sakin here would not be pronounced normally? Well, again, it is because of the following letter. The letter after Noon Sakin is Ta, and Ta isn't an Izhar letter. Ta is an Ikhfa letter. And so is this one, Tha. Tha also is an Ikhfa letter. Well, these Izhar letters, if you remember, we said are 6. But Ikhfa letters are 15. And here you can see all the 15 Ikhfa letters. It's a bit hard to memorize these 15 Ikhfa letters because 15 out of 29 is more than 50% because the total number of letters in Arabic alphabet is 29, including the alif. Basically, the sounds are 28 because alif doesn't have a sound. Alif is the only letter that doesn't have a sound. We have 28 sounds. So out of 28, 15 of them are Ikhfa letters. Like if one of these 15 letters comes after Noon, Sakin, and Tanween, then you do Ikhfa. You read it this way, like Fama and Min Thamarat. But since it is not easy to remember, to memorize these 15 letters, well, what you can do is that you can remember the letters for the rest of the 3 cases. We have already talked about the letters of Izhar. There are 6 Izhar letters. And, well, the other 2 cases of Noon Sakin, these 2, Idgham and Iqlab. You have to memorize the letters for these 3 cases. If you memorize the letters for these 3 cases, then you don't have to memorize the Ikhfa letters. Because if it's not Izhar, if it's not Idgham, if it's not Iqlab, then it has to be Ikhfa. It's easier to memorize the letters for these 3 cases because the letters for these 3 cases combined are 13. Like there are 6 Izhar letters, there are 6 Idgham letters, and there's only 1 Iqlab letter. So 6 plus 6, 12 plus 1, 13. So there are 13 letters for these 3 cases combined, and there are 15 letters for Ikhfa only. So this is the reason why it's easier to memorize the letters for these 3 cases. Now let me show you, like here. Faman Tabia. So this one is Ikhfa, and I know that Ta is an Ikhfa letter, but even if you don't know that Ta is an Ikhfa letter, if you know that Ta is not an Izhar letter and is not an Idgham letter and is not an Iqlab letter, you know that it has to be Ikhfa because it can't be anything else. It is not one of the Izhar letters we know. And the only Iqlab letter, the last case of Noon Sakin, the only Iqlab letter is Ba. So since it is not Ba, it cannot be Iqlab. And Ta is not an Izhar letter, it cannot be Izhar. And it cannot be Idgham because the Idgham letters are 6. The combination of those letters is Yarmaloon. Let me write it here. So here, that's Ya and Ra. This one is Mim, Lam, Waw, and Noon. This is the word Yarmaloon. It's Ya, Ra, Fatha, Yar, Mim, Fatha, Ma, Lam, Waw, Dhamma, Lu, and the last letter is always Sakin. So that's Yarmaloon. And this is the combination of the Idgham letters. So there are 6 letters in this word. Ya, Ra, Mim, Lam, Waw, Noon. So if you memorize this letter, if you remember this letter, these are the 6 Idgham letters. Now, let's talk about this again. As I said, even if you don't remember that ta is an ikhfa letter, if you know that ta is not an izhar letter, it's not one of the 6 maloon letters, and it's not ba, like it's not an izhar letter means it can't be izhar. It is not one of the Yarmaloon letters, so it can't be Idgham. It is not Ba, so it can't be Iqlab. And now the only option left is Ikhfa. So this is the reason why I said it's hard to remember to memorize these 15 letters. Instead, you can memorize the letters for the rest of the 3 cases. This way, you can easily recognize whether the case of Nun Sakin is Ikhfa, Izhar, Idgham, or Iqlab. So in this lesson, we talked about the first 2 cases only, Izhar and Ikhfa, and we'll read some more letters of Izhar and Ikhfa on the next page in next lesson, and then inshallah we'll talk about the rest of the 2 cases, Idgham and Iqlab, in some other video. And till then, take care. And if you want one-to-one classes, you can contact me on my WhatsApp number given in the description. See you in the next video. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.